For as long as we've been building machines, we've been looking for better ways to talk to them, to command them. And that whole journey really has been about one thing: making the connection between our ideas and the machine's actions more and more direct. I mean, think about it. We started with these clunky physical punch cards, right? Then we got the keyboard and mouse, which was this huge leap forward. Then we started touching the screens themselves, and now we just talk to our devices. Each step made things feel more natural. So what's the next logical step? What if we could just remove the physical part completely?
And this is the ultimate frontier: brain-computer interfaces. The idea is to create a direct line, a pathway, from our brain straight to our devices, totally bypassing our bodies. This is the core concept behind Neuralink, and honestly, it represents the biggest leap in how we interact with machines that we've ever even dreamed of.
But that brings up a pretty massive question, right? How is that even possible? How do you grab a thought out of thin air and turn it into something a computer can understand? Well, for that, we have to understand the language of the brain itself. To break down the science, here's our technology analyst. Okay, so it really all comes down to this one thing: the action potential, or what we just call a spike. Your brain is basically a biological supercomputer, and it runs on electricity. Every single time you decide to move or to speak or even just think about moving, certain neurons in your brain fire off these little electrical signals to talk to each other.
And here's the really cool part. These impulses, these spikes, they aren't just random noise. They actually form very specific, repeatable patterns. So the thought to move a cursor to the left, that creates one pattern of spikes. The thought to move it right, that creates a totally different one. These spikes are the brain's native language. And for the very first time, we actually have the tech that can listen in and understand what it's saying. So let's walk through how this translation actually works. First, you just think about moving a cursor. Second, the neurons in your motor cortex, that's the brain's control center for movement, they fire in that unique pattern. Third, these incredibly sensitive microelectrodes act like tiny microphones, and they actually detect the little pop of those specific neurons firing. And finally, a decoder algorithm, you can think of it like a universal translator, it converts that pattern of pops into the ones and zeros a computer can understand. And just like that, a thought becomes a digital command.
So, okay, listening to the brain, that's one thing. But what kind of insane technology does it take to actually build that bridge, to safely put those little microphones inside the most complex object in the entire known universe, the human brain? The solution is this incredible three-part engineering marvel. First, you've got the N1 implant, which is the little device that processes the signals. Then you have these ultra-fine, flexible threads that hold the electrodes. And finally, you have the R1 surgical robot, which is, frankly, the only reason any of this is even possible. The scale we're talking about here is just mind-boggling. To avoid damaging the super delicate brain tissue, these electrode threads have to be impossibly thin, way, way thinner than a single human hair. And their flexibility is also a huge deal. It lets the brain move around naturally without the implant causing any harm, which was a major problem with older BCI tech. Look, a human surgeon's hand, no matter how steady it is, just can't do this. That's where the R1 robot comes in. It uses advanced optics to create a map of the brain's surface, and it can identify and go around even the tiniest blood vessels while it delicately stitches these threads into place. It's basically automated microscopic neurosurgery. And all this incredible science, all this engineering, it's not a theory anymore. In 2024, it literally leaped out of the lab and into the real world. And the results? They are truly staggering. The abstract idea of controlling things with your mind became a real, tangible thing. In what was a landmark moment for both medicine and technology, the very first human patient with the implant showed the entire world what was suddenly possible. By playing a game of online chess, he controlled every single move with nothing but his thoughts. Now, for a patient with paralysis who couldn't physically interact with the world, this wasn't just a game. This was getting a vital connection back. The initial reports confirmed exactly what we saw. Not only did the patient recover really well from the surgery, but he quickly learned how to control a computer cursor just by thinking. And this isn't just about moving a pointer. It's about reopening the entire digital world, communicating, working, entertainment for someone who was locked out. It's digital autonomy, completely restored. So look, we're storing movement and sight. That's a goal anyone can support. It's world-changing. But if we zoom out a bit, there is a much bigger, much more philosophical ambition that's driving all this. What's the ultimate endgame here? On the one hand, you have the immediate mission, solve these critical brain and spine problems. But then, there's the ultimate, long-term goal, to create a true symbiosis with artificial intelligence. The thinking goes that as AI gets exponentially smarter, humans risk being left behind, becoming something like a house cat to AI. Right? And this is where a high-bandwidth brain-computer interface could be the answer. It attacks the fundamental problem between us and our computers, our output speed. Right now, how we get ideas out, typing with our thumbs, speaking out loud, is incredibly slow compared to how fast a computer thinks. A direct neural link could, in theory, allow human consciousness to merge with AI, to think and create at speeds we can't even imagine. It's really about upgrading humanity's own operating system. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. We're standing right at the beginning of a technology that could cure paralysis, blindness, and so many other terrible conditions. But it could also fundamentally redefine what it even means to be human. Is this our next great leap in evolution, or is it a step towards a future we wouldn't even recognize? The thread has been stitched, and this conversation has only just begun.